Hey everyone, welcome to my kitchen. The reason we're in the kitchen today is because it's too cold to work in the garage and I'm too ill. What I have today is this really old school Sony Walkman. Yes, I know calling it a Walkman is a bit ridiculous considering the size of the thing, but this is perhaps one of the best sounding portable tape decks you can get. Now, I bought it off eBay. As you can see, it's in good nick. Bit grubby, but you know, to be expected, isn't it? The only problem it's got is when you rewind, the spindle moves. Fast forward, the spindle moves, and play, it doesn't. Now that's a lot of people worry about this, but I'm willing to put money on it actually just being a bad belt, to the point where I actually already have the belt kit for it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to strip it down and we'll get the belt swapped out and we shall see. And I'm in. Admittedly, it still doesn't give the game away that much because you've got a massive circuit board in the way, but I just thought I would quickly show you how far technology has come along, because this is what's called the Sony Professional line. The idea is that this should have been basically slung over a reporter's shoulder so they could do live interviews in the field and potentially broadcast on television, on radio, straight off the tape. Now it looks very dodgy with all the what I call bodge wiring here, but that's just how electronics were back in the day. What I'm going to do is I'm going to whip this circuit board off, and you'll see just how busy this board is compared to a modern circuit board. And as you can see, if you look at the circuit board, you can see that it is very, very, very packed together. The reason why is because practically all of these components here are what are called through-hole components. So what happens is they've got a leg that goes straight through the circuit board to the other side to one of them little solder patches. Now, modern circuit boards use surface mount components, so you can actually use both sides of the boards. With these old ones you can't, but I just thought I'd show that just because it's quite interesting. So if we have a look at the mechanism, let's try and figure out if it is the belt that's at fault. So we've got a motor here. This motor connects to this, which spins the capstan, which then runs this little belt here, which then goes onto these, which then run the playhead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it in play, connect the battery, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so the mechanism's in play. I'm going to connect the battery pack into these terminals, and then it should start playing. So what we should see, if my theory about the belt being right, is we should see this motor start to spin this capstan, but this belt not move. So let's try that now. And yep, I was 100% correct. The capstan is spinning, but the belt isn't moving. So that says that this could just be a case of replacing the belt. But while we're in here, might as well replace everything. So what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to end up replacing this belt, the belt for the timer, you know, the little tape timer. I'm going to re-oil this motor, and under here is a little rubber wheel which this presses against to run against. So that is one of them. So what we'll do is we'll start tearing it down now and we'll work on it. Alright, well I've actually had some good news. The capstan, this thing, which the motor runs on, that rubber wheel there, is actually still quite pliable, so it doesn't need swapping out. So that's one thing that's going to make life easy. The rubber belt itself, though, was completely and utterly trashed. If I can get it into focus, bear with me. It like I said, it's just there's just no springiness there at all. See, it's cracked, it's hard, it's had it. So, and also looking at the rest of the rubber material and the rest of the belts, they all look in good condition. So I'd be able to get away with just doing the dry belt on this, which is a bit of a good thing, because it's a bit of a pain to have to cut this rubber off, cut that rubber off. The belt for the timer is really down in the mechanism. It goes down here, then hides somewhere else. So what I need to do now is, to finish doing this, there's a little C-clip on the top of here that I need to clip off. Now obviously I'm not going to do that on camera because that is so incredibly tiny. There's quite a good chance I'd lose it if I did it on camera. So the next time you see this, the new belt will be wrapped around that, and then we'll start putting it back together. Okay, so just before I put this clip back on, I wanted to show you what I meant by teeny tiny. That's my fingertip, and there we go. You see why I was so worried about making sure I don't lose that? Popping it off was quite easy, but getting it back on I think it's going to be a bit more of a pain. Right, I've got the mechanism back together now. What we're going to do is, we're going to connect the battery to it. The deck's been put back into play, and if it works, we should see this belt spin this little wheel here, which then moves this gearing, which moves the tape. If that works, we can button this back up and we can put a tape in and see if it actually does play a tape. And good news, the mechanism all turns. So, now to put it all back together. Right, it's nearly back together now, but just before we put the back on it and button it up together permanently, I just want to make sure it does work. So I plugged in a set of headphones, so we'll lift the lid, we'll put in our cassette. Please don't laugh, I actually do quite like the Beautiful South. And we'll then put in our battery pack of 4 AA's, which sits next to the tape. You see why I said calling it a Walkman is a little bit of a pushing it a bit. And let's press play, and we'll see if the tape starts turning. Yeah. And you can hear it through the headphones playing. So I think that's a working unit. Just so I don't get copyright struck. It still needs more work, it's going to need its heads clean, it's going to need stuff like that, but it wasn't working, it now is. I just like repairing things, I like stopping things going to landfill. It's just nice to get your hands dirty after a day's work and fix something. If you liked this, you know, stick a comment below, stick a like, you know, let me know. Because I might start fixing more stuff on camera, because you know I've got a backlog of stuff I fix. I'm just going to fix it anyway, so might as well do it on camera if people are interested.